What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. It is Monday, October 24th. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. Smash the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Hit subscribe, turn on alerts. Get notified when we go live. If you're listening to the podcast, it is likely Tuesday, October 25th. And we're recapping what everybody expected, a blowout in Foxborough between the Patriots and the Bears, except it went the other way. 33-14 Bears thump the Patriots. Joining me to talk about it, Ryan Wilson, John Breech. What's up, boys?
Brinson, you might joke that everyone, in quotation mark, bunny ears expected it. But Breech, do you know of the three of us, which genius picked the Bears to cover plus 8.5?
Well, there was only one, and I'm assuming you wouldn't be asking if it was Brinson. And you maybe would ask if it was me, but I know who I picked, so I know it wasn't me. So by the process of elimination, I am going to say that it was you, Ryan Wilson.
I had the Patriots as a best bet and the Patriots in a teaser for the pick show, so that didn't work out well for me.
Worked out well for me, however. So that's great.
Thank you. The Patriots came out completely flat. I mean, like disinterested and like just not prepared to stop Bears. I think they came out thinking, and it's weird. So last week, Bill Belichick was asked about the Bears and went on, and this is actually why I picked the Patriots to win handily. He was asked about the Bears and went on this like 13-minute sort of, not a tirade, but just like a filibuster, naming every player on the Bears roster. They talk about their offensive line and how they block their running scheme, Matt Eberflus's defense, talking about Dante Pettis in the special teams area. And it was like, oh my God, Belichick is trying to let his team know that this is a huge game for them. And it was a huge game for them. The Patriots came into this game at 3-3. Winning this game set them up. I believe they had the Colts. They had the Jets, the Colts, and the Jets coming up. They could have gotten to 7-3 fairly easily. And we'll talk about obviously we have the look, pop, you toss on the screen if you want, Billy. This rant he went on. It's like somebody transcribed it. It's so long. But it felt to me like Belichick was saying, listen, this is a massive game for us. We're hosting a team that we can beat and we should beat. 8.5-point favorites. If you take care of business there, you really set yourself up, even with a back-end difficult schedule, of trying to make a push for the playoffs. And instead, they allowed the Bears to run all over them. The defense was horrendous. Look at this. I mean, look at the text in there. It's like 15,000 words. They gave up. Look, the Bears got a little bit lucky. Recovered all 5 of their fumbles, which is a lot of fumbles to recover and a lot of fumbles in general, and converted almost all their third downs. But Wilson, kudos to you for getting it correctly.
I will take that. And I say that, Breech, as the biggest McCorkle-Jones homer on planet Earth. That includes the McCorkle-Jones family. A couple things. I don't think the Patriots came out flat. I think they came out with a quarterback who hasn't played in 2 weeks, who's probably still not 100% recovered. And they had the Matt Canada game plan for the first 15 scripted plays. It was a couple 3-and-outs. Then that horrendous Kenny Pickett interception. Yep. Great play by Jaquan Brisker. One of the second-round picks that they used, the Bears did, to get a defender as opposed to a wide receiver. In this case, it worked out because I think Kyler Gordon also had an interception later. But after that third series, he got the old yank McCorkle did, and they brought in Bailey Zappi. And look, I'm a Mac Jones guy, and that's no big secret. But Breech, let me ask you this as someone who has seen the quarterbacks occasionally turnstile their way through Cincinnati when it's not Joe Burrow or Carson Palmer or certainly Andy Dalton. What does it say to you when your second-year quarterback is getting, if not booed, hearing the backup's name in a home game in week 7 after missing 2 weeks when the backup is clearly not the long-term answer? I just don't. If you're a Patriots fan, I mean, you can do what you want. You're paying $150 for tickets. You can throw tomatoes if you are able to smoke them to the stadium. But does it serve your best interest, short-term or long-term, to chant Bailey Zappi when my guy McCorkle's out there coming back?
I mean, the boos probably were a little bit much, but if I just watch my team the past 2 weeks and the offense is clicking on all cylinders with Bailey Zappi and they're destroying teams, they are scoring points. I mean, you look at those past 2 games when they put up 29 points against the Lions, they put up 38 points against the Browns. Then McCorkle Jones goes out there and goes punt, interception. There's going to be frustration that, hey, why is he out there? I think admittedly, reports said that he was maybe 90% going into the game. Why put him out there 90%? Let Bailey Zappi go until either Jones is 100% or until Bailey Zappi is a 5-interception game. You have an excuse to bench him. I thought that this is one of those times.
Or you let Bailey Zappi do what Mac did at the beginning of the game. You're like, all right, Mac, we need you to suit up and jump in there. Like the way that this happened now creates a controversy of sorts in the locker room.
You know what's awesome is that Lisa Salters reported at halftime that Bill Belichick told her, listen, definitely Mac Jones is going back in there. And I'm thinking there's a 0% chance Mac Jones is going into this game. And that includes after 2 Bailey Zappi interceptions. Of course, Dave Andrews, the center got knocked down on one of them on the blindside block. I didn't know you could get ejected for a blindside block, but Mike Pennell found out that you could. I guess we found out together. But I don't think there's a quarterback controversy. I think, Breech, to your point, Mac probably was 100% healthy, and maybe he pushed to play. Mike Flory reported that even though Belichick had listed Mac as doubtful and questionable during the week, that Mac had taken 90 to 95% of the reps, which indicated that he'll probably play. He looked mobile on an early run, but I don't know. That certainly didn't seem to matter when it came to throwing the football because he was making bad
I don't think it matters that Mac Jones pushed to play. You know, this isn't like Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett, where you can like bully your coach into doing what you want to do. This is Bill Belichick. He's going to play the guy who he thinks gives him the best shot to win. And honestly, just felt like he got too cute with the quarterback stuff. He outsmarted himself and said, you know what, we're going to put Mac Jones out there. The decision backfired because they couldn't have got off to a more disastrous start. And it just went downhill from there. And, you know, Zappi came in and gave them that little spark, but they did nothing in the second half. 0 points, under 100 total yards. It was just a nightmare. And like you guys just said, in the second quarter, it was like, there's no QB controversy because Bailey Zappi is going to be the starter going forward. But after that second half, it's like, okay, maybe there is a QB controversy. What do we do now?
By the way, our buddy Joe Musso, Bears fan, is literally on air, but also in the comments. We in here. There it is.
Musso, are you on HQ and in the chat comments? I'm a maniac. I love it.
Takes every chance to dunk on Brinson.
Very, very interesting and very rare case of a situation where someone comes into New England and scores the final points of the first half and the final points, or the first points, of the second half. Like that's a bit was Belichick and Tom Brady's thing forever. Belichick thought it's always important to get the ball first and then, you know, to be able to go out and score. And the Bears, they turned it over. Like, I mean, Bailey Zappi had 3 turnovers, not all his fault, but the passes was getting tipped left and right. I mean, they
were his fault. Who else's fault were they?
Well, I'm not saying they're not like, it's not like he threw directly into a defender half the time. Sometimes they got tipped to the line of scrimmage. Okay. That's not, but that doesn't mean they're like good passes, just that it's not.
They were bad passes.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this before we talk about the Bears, because we do this all the time. Let's talk about the good team. But quickly, who's the quarterback next week for the Patriots?
I think Mac is the starter when he's healthy.
Breech?
If we're saying next week, though, is Mac Jones healthy next week? I'll say Zappi. I'll go out and say Zappi. I just think that he provides a spark. I'll go Zappi.
Does he?
They scored 14 points and it was all Bailey Zappi.
Well, but that touchdown, I mean, it was wide ass open. I mean, Breech, again, with your 40-yard arm, you could make that throw easily.
But it's like you can't be like they scored all their points with Bailey Zappi. He's the only guy who played in the second half that didn't score a single point. Like, I mean, he
didn't look great.
I didn't. I mean, he was 10. You can see it on the screen. 14 points in his first 2 drives, 4 of 4, 97 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 turnovers, and it was like a wheel route to Ramondre Stevenson where he's wide open. They schemed open. I'm trying to think. It was Jacoby Myers who caught the touchdown.
It was a terrible pass. He made a
but you can say that, but Mac Jones literally only led them to 3 first downs.
They pulled
0 first downs in the first 2 possessions.
Belichick couldn't handle the Mac Jones heat.
How are you arguing like for Bailey Zappi based on what we saw in the second half?
No, I am saying, you asked me who's going to start next week. I said next week I would start Bailey Zappi, and then I would go into the bye and say, all right, or I guess you have 2 weeks till the bye, but I probably start Zappi against the Jets.
Brian J. called the Bailey Zappi touchdown pass to Jacoby Myers, the Mike Evans' passes, which is pretty funny. Let's talk about the team that actually won.
Worth noting. This is Troy Aikman, who called the game and obviously spent time with the Patriots. Because of the way it went, there's no question that Mac Jones is their quarterback and he'll be starting next week in a very tough game against the Jets, would be my guess. But Mac Jones is their guy, speaking to Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter after the game from the booth in Foxborough. Now, of course, Troy Aikman could be wrong. Look, but, that's just the deal.
But also, so does that mean they're going to go the rest of the season with, if Mac Jones goes out there and puts up a goose egg in the first quarter, they're going to bench him and put Bailey Zappi in? Like, is that going to be their strategy going forward?
Think,
to play two quarterbacks?
All right, 10 seconds, and let's move on. But do you think it was because he wasn't 100%? That's why they pulled him?
My theory is that, and I could be wrong, but again, this is what I think. I think that Belichick was planning to go with Bailey Zappi. Mac is his guy. Mac busted his ass to try and get ready. He worked, he worked hard in practice. He wanted to show that he could go in and start. And Belichick's like, look, I'll let you start if you can prove that you're ready to start. But if you're out there and you don't look 100% and your ankle is bothering you, I'm going to pull you and you're going to have a quick leash. And I think that's what a quick hook. And that's what he did after that interception. Basically, like, he can't let
that's one of your better theories.
Look that bad? I mean, he rushed for 24 yards on 3 carries.
The interception wasn't great.
Right, but
he had
that
room to run for a first down.
Right, but were his struggles because of his ankle? He looked fine running the ball. He threw the interception while leading his best drive. Are you attributing it to the ankle? Is what I'm saying.
I think that Belichick told Mac, here's how it's going to go. If I see you struggle, you're not going to stay out there. Was it a right ankle sprain or a left ankle sprain?
It's the left.
I mean, look, it's also a little different too. I mean, like running with that ankle sprain versus standing in the pocket and having to drive on it. You know what I mean?
All right, we're going to move on. But Nathan in the chat makes a great point. Scott Van Pelt and Benson's DMs already hair plugs.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing, we're arguing about the Patriots quarterbacks when you could argue the bigger problem was, how in the heck did this defense give up that many points and that many rushing yards to a Chicago Bears offense that showed zero life for the first 7 weeks of the season?
Okay, let's take a quick break and then come back and talk about that Chicago Bears offense next.
Ooh.
So, Breech, you make a good point. Bears offense. Oh, look at this. This is a great stat, too. Quarterbacks in their first 2 seasons who have won on the road against the Patriots, at the Patriots.
John Ping.
Shout out Sean Kane from 2000, Dante Culpepper in 2000.
How do you lose to Drew Lock?
What's crazy is that no one won a road game against New England. A rookie or a quarterback, first or second year quarterback, did not win a road game against the Patriots from 2001 to 2012 when Colin Kaepernick did it. Then it didn't happen again from 2012 until 2020. Drew Lock, and then Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Fields. Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson both came close. I do wonder if, maybe Lock is the exception here, but a lot of mobile quarterbacks on that list.
Yeah, I'll give you that. So let's see. I'm going to give you guys a fun fact. Or you can guess. It's up to you. So the Bears finished 11 of 18 and on third down conversions in this game. What's the math on 11 of 18?
That would be 61%.
It is 61.1%. Way to go, Brinson. Coming into this game, what were the Bears converting on third downs?
Oh, I would guess 25%.
33.
35.6.
Yeah. And at one point, by the way, they were 7 of 10.
So, Breech, to your point, how did that happen to this Bill Belichick defense?
Justin
Fields. Justin Fields, I mean, easily hit the best game of his career.
Not even close.
Okay, just making sure. I mean, he wasn't perfect on all his throws. Credit to Luke Getsy, their offensive coordinator. Wow, imagine that, moving Fields around, having designed quarterback runs. What a unique thought to take the skill sets of the quarterback and to actually do to like incorporate them into your offense. I mean, it's just shocking.
Yeah, in fact, if we're doing a live line sort of race to the top of the quarterback class from last year, Justin Fields made huge strides. Trey Lance is clearly he's undetermined with an I. Undetermined because the injury.
Incomplete.
I was looking for the word. I can remember. Injury also works for I, by the way.
I'm determined.
So I think if we're doing Trevor, Justin, and Mac. Oh boy, I think it's close to the top.
Okay, again, we talked about this last night.
Justin's making a move. He's nipping on Trevor's heels. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I'm still taking Trevor by a pretty wide margin. There's
fine.
some stuff that Justin Fields doesn't do great, but he
Beats the Patriots great.
Hey, look, I just said it was the best game of his career. Most points in a game with Justin Fields as their starting quarterback with 33 on Monday night. Also, back-to-back games with 200-plus rush yards for the first time since weeks 10 and 11 in 1985. They went
85 Bears.
85
They're
Bears.
back.
243 rushing yards against the Patriots, 45 rushes for 5.4 yards per play. They did a great job of, again, incorporating Fields in the rushing offense. Now, Peyton Manning pointed out in the Manning cast, there were a couple of times where maybe it would have been better to hand off instead of to take the read option, to take the ball on the read option as Fields did. But he finished with 14 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Montgomery 15 for 62. Khalil Herbert 12 for 62. They were just pounding the ball on the Patriots, and I do think part of the problem was they got down 10-0 early. And then Bailey Zappi, gets the 2 touchdowns. Credit to Chicago but that sort of confidence, I think, kept if the Pats had come out playing well on offense and had scored quickly, I think that they can absolutely just pound Ramondre Stevenson and you force Fields to throw the football. And instead it went the other way around where, Bailey Zappi only threw 22 times, but it felt like he threw 50 out there.
Here's the thing. So talking about that defense, let me count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 possessions prior to the last 2 possessions for Chicago offensively, which didn't really matter because the game was over. So those
final two, they were running the ball in every play. I don't think
so. 9 possessions breach. How many of those 9 possessions did the Bears go 3 and out?
What? 1?
1.
Yep.
And that helps the defense because they're not gassed and out there for 95 plays. And you could actually say that's exactly what happened to the Patriots defense if you wanted to make excuses. The Patriots had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3 and outs. I mean, if you told me Matt Canada was a coordinator for the Patriots, I would believe you.
Right. It's Matt.
Half a dozen, right? So anyway, I think the fact that the offense finally helped the defense, allowed the defense to actually prove that it's really good. Roquan Smith did the I'm making money in the end zone because he's making money after that pick 6.
He didn't actually take it to the house.
Right? Oh, he got the interception, but he ran out of bounds. That's right.
He was going to easily score.
Well, and to that point, Wilson, it was the Bears offense. They came up with some back-breaking 3rd down conversions where I'm sure the Patriots defense mentally thought they were going to get off the field. And that the 3rd and 14, when the Bears were driving just before halftime, Fields somehow kind of just ducks around and scrambles for 20 yards on 3rd and 14. Are you kidding me? And then that same drive, they converted a 3rd and 16. And you could just see the Patriots players what we watch film. This offense has never done this. What are they doing? This offense moves like a little baby turtle. They cannot do anything. And they're out here just running all over us. So it just looked like the Patriots defense was shell-shocked at what was going on.
That Fields run was it was just, devastating.
The thing is, I was yelling, please throw the ball away. Because that's the only issue I have with Fields in this game. And it's been an issue previously because he's a young quarterback, is that sometimes he leaves the pocket too early. Every young quarterback seems to do that, but also he refuses to throw the ball away. And actually Troy Aikman talked about it before the game, or maybe Peyton Manning talked about it before the game when they were doing the preview, and just throw the ball away because he took a lot of hits, several hits this game that he didn't need to take. And, those hits will add up over the course of the season. That fantastic first touchdown pass, that was a great play. And he just got sandwiched. It wasn't through any fault of his own, but those things add up. So don't, exacerbate issues by holding onto the ball, trying to find guys downfield, potentially having a turnover. Just throw the ball away. Otherwise, there's very little to be upset about with the way Justin Fields played, and this is what Bears fans have been waiting so long for.
Yeah, couldn't agree. Couldn't agree more. It was now there were definitely highs and lows if you're a Bears fan and watching Justin Fields. There was that one. They ended up getting a field goal. Was it right before half where he took a sack and they're out of field goal range, and then he had the huge pickup it was it's still an uneven process, but I think you have to. You obviously have to feel a lot better now.
It's funny though. You're exactly right. Just like last night, we all I think collectively felt much better about Tua. But if the Steelers had caught even half of those interceptions, we're talking about, okay, Tua had had 2 interceptions, possibly had 4. And you mentioned Brinson. The Bears fumbled 5 times and got the ball back 5 times. If they lose 3 of those turnovers and the game ends up differently, then we're having conversations about the turnovers. But hey, they got the bounces and they made the most of it. And the Patriots look completely and wholly outmanned for 55-ish minutes in this game.
Yeah, it was like Getsy went over the past week because the Bears had some extra time here because they played Thursday night and they got the Thursday to Monday break, which is the best break you can get beside a bye. And he's like, maybe I should pop in some Jalen Hurts film and learn how to actually take advantage of my quarterback skill set, because I think that's one thing the Bears haven't done well. We put a lot of the blame on Justin Fields, but they really haven't been calling plays that suit him necessarily. And they did such a good job of that in this game that it's like, wow, if they can do this going forward, they're 3-4 now. They're tied for second in the NFC North. The NFC's not that good.
The NFL's not that good.
There's a path. There's a path for the Bears to maybe be in the wild card conversation. If they
all right, let me ask this question, because why not look ahead 2.5 months? What's the line, Brinson, for the Bears finishing with a better record than the Packers?
Than the Packers?
Yeah.
Well,
the Brinson line.
Okay, let me so they're both 3-4.
Yeah, one team's arrow pointing up, the other team is arrow pointing straight to hell.
I mean, you would if that's a good all right, I'm just thinking through this. So
yeah, that's good.
In other words, like if I give you the odds, and so like if I say Bears plus 300,
right? Yeah,
3-1, you would okay.
Crush the Bears. I'm probably going to take Bears anything with a plus number front.
Oh, and the Bears are definitely a plus.
I know that's my point.
Maybe 5-1.
Oh, absolutely. I'm crushing that. What are you taking at 5-1, Breech?
I'm probably taking the Bears.
Yeah.
Well, what's the Packers of the? Well, maybe 5-1 is too much. I don't know.
Well, to win the division, the Bears right now are 60-1, and the Packers are 5-1. So that gives you an idea of what.
But that's
the odds makers view as the difference.
Not adjusted yet, though, probably for the Monday night game.
I can't. I mean, it's up. It's live. So usually they would take it down.
Yeah, it's
it's live. Okay.
I want to say I saw something similar last night when we were doing the recap show. So I don't know that that's changed. If they had the regular season win totals for the Bears up, they don't. Then I would think that that those division odds will shrink a little bit. Although, I mean, the Vikings, yeah, I mean, certainly it could still happen. 60-1, that's at least kind of intriguing, I guess.
But here's the thing.
Right, the Packers win total. Oh my goodness.
Packers win total is 8.5.
Did you know that? Or are you guessing?
I'm good at guessing. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm good.
Under 8.5 for the Packers is.
Oh boy, is that minus?
Minus 130.
Oh my gosh, what's over?
Plus 110.
Holy Moses! What are you doing on that, Breech?
All right, I will take back that 5-1 then, because I think that if that's the case, the Bears at 3-4, when they have a very easy schedule. Now they get the Cowboys on the road, Dolphins at home. Wait, is it? Yeah. Lions at home, at the Falcons, at the Jets. They still have the Packers once. Eagles, Bills. Oof. Lions,
let me ask you one thing. David McNichols makes a pretty good point in the comments. We might be overreacting to a game against a New England team that turned the ball over a ton. So we'll see what happens next week. Who'd you say the Bears play next week? Cowboys,
and then Dolphins at home. At Cowboys, Dolphins at home.
So if they're competitive against the Cowboys, they could certainly win that game. But if it's 20-17 or something, I think I feel better about the Bears. Like this feels like it could potentially be a turning point.
But let's not forget that in that Thursday night game, they were a muffed punt away from winning. So if they don't muff that punt, they're 4-3. They played the Vikings the week before that. They were up 22-21 with 3 minutes left. And somehow managed to lose that game. They also played the Giants this season where they lost 20-12 because they also muffed a punt late in the fourth quarter when they would have taken over.
Right.
They would have got the ball at like the 50-yard line with a chance to tie the game.
Good point,
with like
Breech.
3 or 4 minutes. So they have been in every game except that loss to the Packers, and those are all games they absolutely could have won. So maybe.
Okay, so what do we think the Bears' new adjusted win total will open at? Because I think it had stayed at 6.5 with the expectation that they were losing this game.
Is there any reason it shouldn't be 8.5?
I mean, I would take the under on 8.
I would say 7.5. If
I
the
think
Packers are 8.5 with the same record, I feel like the Bears.
I was just
are probably,
comparing them to the Packers because they're
Right.
a better football team than the Packers.
I mean,
My
they're both
goodness.
bad football teams.
What?
So you want to say that louder? The Bears are a better football team than the Packers?
Yeah, I just asked you for the odds, and I told
Say,
you
say it again. Just say that.
the Bears are a better football team than the Packers, says Kenny Pickett. Yeah, I'll take the Bears over the Packers right now. The Packers stink. We heard Aaron Rodgers say all those existential things he said after the game that you had to have a degree in philosophy to understand. He's concerned.
So you would take the Bears over the Packers?
I think they're going to. I just asked you for the Brinson odds.
He said he would bet anything plus,
Right.
and you
All
gave
right,
him plus 101. You gave him plus 500.
That 2-1.
dummy.
2-1.
Ever.
2-1. Bears finished with more wins than the Packers. You wanted to
Yes, of course. I just told you. Is that
All right.
plus?
$25.
Oh, sure. That's fine.
Oh my God, we got a podcast bet.
There we go.
Write
$25.
it down.
You owe me
Yeah.
25 if the Packers have a better record than the Bears. I owe you 50 if the Bears finish with more wins.
That's
Of
the
course,
math.
there's obviously no blood.
Oh yeah, love it.
Don't know where that came from, but good job, Billy. Okay. Anything else? By the way, one more quick thing on this game. We're not making this a tattoo bet. Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery run hard as hell. Like Khalil Herbert's on that list of dudes I don't want to tackle. I mean, not like I can tackle anybody, but like if my top 5 like dudes I don't want to have to ever like think about tackling. Khalil Herbert's up there.
Brinson, Breech, who would you rather see Brinson tackle, Khalil Herbert or David Montgomery?
Montgomery.
I think I agree.
For
with that.
entertainment purposes, Montgomery.
He weighs more, so
He
he'll
would just bowl you over.
he'll do more
I'm
damage.
just saying both guys run really hard and like
Yeah, no, that's
Herbert
right. They
would
do.
just, like, stiff arm you out of the way. Montgomery would run through you.
Also, again, I don't want to rain on the parade. I'm glad the Bears won. They play extremely well. It's a huge win on the road. But Jim in Florida notes that New England's beating the Steelers, terrible. Browns, terrible, and the Lions. A 2-win team, and a 1-win team. So just perspective. But again, a win's a win. And Breech, as you noted, the Bears had ample opportunities to be much better record-wise, if not for a couple of Velus Jones, muff punts, and Luke Getsy sort of figuring out how best to use Justin Fields. And it felt like all that came together on Monday night in New England.
And shout out to Cairo Santos, who hit 4 field goals despite tough weather. It was rainy, it was foggy, but he hit 4, including a 42 and a 50-yarder in the third quarter.
Love it.
Kicker love.
Yeah, that was good football.
It was a much more entertaining football game than we expected. Okay, we have to briefly talk about a trade that happened
What?
in the NFL. The New York Jets traded a conditional 6th-round pick, which could become a 5th-round pick based on the number of yards that he gets, to Jacksonville for James Robinson. The one-time, did he lead the league in rushing?
Not when Urban Meyer was the coach.
No, but,
I can't remember. He did really well.
yeah. He was. I believe he was undrafted. And
No, he hit 1,000 yards in 2020, but he didn't lead the league.
Okay, that's right. Maybe he led all rookies with 1,070 yards in 2020. Maybe
All undrafted rookie free agents on the Jaguars roster. He led.
that's right. Yes.
No, I
was
like this
fifth-
trade.
5th overall in rushing in 2020. There's the
He,
example.
yeah, that's good. He overcame the Achilles injury, which is, he was obviously great news for him. Got a lot of looks early this season, and that the workload sort of went south as Etienne became more involved in the offense. And I think this is a great move for James. I think it's a great move for the Jets. I think the Jaguars get the draft picks, and hopefully if James stays healthy, it'll be probably most certainly a 5th rounder, because Breece Hall, unfortunately, is done for the year with the ACL and the meniscus. And I'll stick with what I said yesterday, Breech. This Jets team is the updated version of Mark Sanchez and Rex Ryan. Running game, defense, and hope that Zach Wilson can string together some passes.
Yeah, that feels about right. And look, James Robinson, like you said before Etienne came in, and Robinson saw his snap count cut and didn't even touch the ball against the Giants, which was surprising. I mean, he had 100 yards against the Chargers when the Jags just throttled them back in week 3, and then had a couple good games in week 1 and week 2. So he's somebody who can contribute. And this is, I think if you're the Jets, you're thinking, man, at worst, we just gave away a 5th-round pick to someone who is going to help our offense. Because as you're saying, Wilson, if this is Mark Sanchez part 2, you don't want Zach Wilson carrying your team. You do need somebody back there in the backfield to take some pressure off him. So I think it's a good trade for the Jets.
Also,
what's very disappointing though, because they have my boy Bam Knight on their practice squad. I was hoping they'd call him up and
I
use
like
him.
Bam. Zonovan, right?
Yeah, Zonovan Knight. Yeah.
What was the
James Robinson a free agent after this year too, so it sort of makes sense for the Jaguars to do that.
what's the Elijah Vera Tucker news? Do we
Out
know?
for the season.
Aye, that stinks. Okay, that's a problem. Oh boy. Yeah, boy. So Makai's out, their first round pick. Elijah's out, their first round pick along the offensive line. So that's a way bigger issue. Maybe not way bigger. That's a big issue as well because Breece Hall was obviously workhorse and Michael Carter isn't a sort of a full-time workhorse back. Boy, oh boy. All right. Yeah, this is going to be more on Zach. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, the Jets are 5-2, and this is a dirt cheap running back trade. They are going to be a running team. You can pick up the LaFleur Shanahan scheme pretty easily. And it wouldn't be crazy if James Robinson came in and was really effective. And it's also a big win for Travis Etienne, who hopefully will get to he flashed a lot on Sunday for the Jaguars. Hopefully we'll get plenty of run down there in Jacksonville. I don't blame the Jets for this. Good for them. Like if you're the Jets and the Giants, the way that the ownership has operated over the last few years in terms of quickly turn, because you have people like bashing the coaches in the media and they quickly turn on the coaches and the GMs. If you can go out there and, if you make a playoff run, particularly like for the Jets, it would be especially huge. I think the Giants at this point are, the ownership is fine with Brian Dable and Joe Shane, what they're doing, but like, we definitely have been saying, all right, what happens if the Jets stink this year and Zach Wilson's awful, or Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, like getting on the hottest seat. You go out to make a playoff run and you are not concerned about being on the hot seat for a couple of years, I don't think.
No, well, for a season, you don't get a couple of years. I think if you go,
I think it buys you a little time.
Yeah, we'll see. So,
okay. Look, if they go out and finish 9-8, make the playoffs in the AFC, and then go 5-12 next year, then yes, he's on the hot seat again. But
yeah, that's right. So it's not a couple of years. So here's the bad news. George Fant is eligible to come off injured reserve, but it may not be this week. Robert Saleh said, in terms of replacing Elijah Vera Tucker. Cedric Ogbuehi is the next man up, Breech, and you know him quite well as the former Bengals first-round pick. What are your thoughts on Cedric Ogbuehi as
actually the reason why the Bengals moved on from Andrew Whitworth, which cost him 5 or 6 years of playoff runs?
Oh boy.
I mean, that sounds about right.
What's happening here?
Offensive line fell apart. He didn't last long in Cincinnati, didn't even make it to his 5th year, and the Bengals are like, all right, man, you're done here. And that was it. And so if you're a journeyman offensive lineman, there's a reason you're a journeyman offensive lineman. And he's already played for, I think this is his 5th team since the Bengals drafted him in 2015. So you're talking about a guy who is not considered a weekly starter. He is not someone you want to have in there. There's a reason he's a backup. So
do you know where they got him from? The Houston Texans practice squad.
Yeah,
Houston Texans have issues along the offensive line, but not so dire that they called up Cedric Ogbuehi. So he is the next man up, and I wonder if that's going to be the monkey wrench, not Breece Hall, who's obviously a great player and was destined to be rookie of the year offensively. It's going to be losing Elijah Vera Tucker after losing Mekhi Becton and the issues along the offensive line. I will say they had 2 serious injuries. The Jets did. Both were on natural grass. So that sucks.
So get rid of the natural grass and put in turf everywhere.
Play in bouncy houses everywhere, I think is a lesson there.
Somebody said that the Jets don't fire coaches. I mean, Todd Bowles and Adam Gase both got fired pretty quickly, but just saying.
Yeah.
And Magini got fired quickly for that. All right, let's very quickly. Ryan Wilson did a short on the YouTube page. You can check it out. You're probably on there, the YouTube page right now. If you're watching, go click on that and see what Ryan Wilson's take on it. But Matt Ryan, not just benched for the rest of the season. Like they made that clear. And I don't know.
What don't you know?
What?
He's terrible. Great guy, terrible NFL quarterback right now.
Is Sam Ehlinger going to be better?
We're going to find out together. But I mean, the fact that they turned to Sam Ehlinger tells you all you need to know, right? Led the league in turnovers, I think fumbles and interceptions. Like he's up at the top on both. How much? And look, Frank Reich said that he told Matt that I let you down by not having the offensive line around you. Jonathan Taylor was obviously hurt. Yada yada yada. I get that, but there's a reason that after the game, Frank Reich said that Matt Ryan's still our quarterback, and then they had an hour-long meeting with Mr. Irsay both he and Chris
Yeah,
Ballard.
I think it's a Irsay thing.
Yeah, no
Oh.
Dookie.
Okay.
They had the meeting, and Jim's like, "Yo, I thought I told you guys after the Carson Wentz debacle to get it right, and this is somehow worse. Like Matt Ryan got bitched before Carson freaking Wentz."
So, well, I guess what I'm asking is if they are they tanking? Feels like they're probably
No,
They're 3-3-1. This is Irsay saying it's
Fix
either
it.
you or Matt Ryan, Frank
Right.
Reich. So you
you
better
think
get
so?
this one right. That's what it feels like.
I feel like if they have a terrible year, then he's just going to fire everybody.
Well, that could also happen. So you're banking on 6th-round pick Sam Ehlinger in his second season fixing this thing, and I think you have just good chance as any. I mean, 3-3-1. I don't know if their point differentials. I don't have it in front of me, and I haven't checked the Football Outsiders in terms of where that team ranks. But I would imagine in terms of the analytics, they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Colts are.
Their point differential is -27.
That doesn't feel like a 3-3-1 team, right?
Sure doesn't.
That should be
So
close.
you're telling me there's a chance?
I don't know.
Chargers are -25, by the way. Yeah.
How did they beat the Chiefs? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Colts should probably be like 0-7.
Indianapolis is 30th in DVOA as a team, ahead of only the Texans and the Bears prior to tonight's game. So you tell me if this is a 500 team. And I think Jim Irsay.
I think Jim Irsay is just irrationally angry at his front office and coaching staff for continuing to trade for quarterbacks and not find one.
I don't think it's irrational. I think it's quite rational to be angry about that. He keeps being told that, yeah, we'll fix this, and they haven't been able to fix it.
Maybe they can trade for Mac Jones.
And look, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not faulting Chris Ballard and Frank Reich because I think all of us, I know Brinson because you're a huge Matt Ryan homer, but all of us thought that Matt Ryan was going to be a huge upgrade over Carson Wentz and probably closer to Phillip Rivers, and he's somehow been the
I
worst
didn't
of the
think
bunch.
he was close to Rivers. I thought he'd be.
Breech and I did. But Breech talked about it yesterday on the podcast that, we all slept on the Titans for those were irrational reasons. The Titans are the Titans. The Colts are a team.
I'm just assuming that Jim Irsay acts irrationally because Jim Irsay typically acts irrationally.
He's not wrong about this. He wasn't wrong about Carson Wentz. And now I think you're right that Frank Reich and Chris Ballard probably have a lot of work to do over the next few months.
It would be really, really interesting if this team cratered and then, just as they did in 2012, exactly 10 years ago, fire everybody with a high pick. Very similar to when they brought in Chuck Pagano and Ryan Grigson.
They currently have the 16th pick. Over under Breech, whether they where they end up with their final first round pick.
13.
Oh, that high.
What? Do you
They're
think
3-3-1. They're in a bad division.
You think you're going to move down 3 spots in their standings because Sam Ehlinger came in?
No, you're asking the over under. Do you think their pick is lower than 13 or higher than 13?
Higher being closer to 1?
That would be lower.
Yeah.
I think I would set the over under at 9.5.
Okay, I'm going to go under that number, meaning I think they're going to be closer to the top of the draft board.
Okay. 13 is a crazy number. They just
too high, right?
Matt Ryan for 6. Yeah, it's insanely.
They're going to eke out 8 wins and pick 13. I'm going to go over.
They have the Commanders.
They can win that.
Yeah.
No, they can't.
Commanders.
Actually, Ehlinger might be fine.
Oh, that's a shame we don't get Carson Wentz revenge game there. At Patriots, at Raiders, Eagles at home, Steelers at home, at Cowboys, at Vikings, Chargers at home, at Giants, Texans at home. That feels like 3 more wins.
That gets them to 6, and they just have to steal 2.
Okay. Well,
the Bears just won in New England tonight. Anybody can steal anything.
Not the Steelers.
I mean, I'm just curious I want to see how Sam Ehlinger looks when he comes in, because if he just looks lost, this is Jim Irsay saying we are tanking, cutting Matt Ryan, and drafting somebody.
Sam, off the top of my head here, Sam was 24 of 29 during the preseason, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdowns, no turnovers. So that's a good start. Now you're playing against guys that may no longer be in the league. I get all that, but that's better than playing terribly in the preseason. So he works hard. He studies hard. He's a gamer, whatever you want to say, out of Texas, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, why not go to him? He's mobile. Sure, I'm fine with it. I think he'll be an upgrade.
It was shocking, though, to see Matt Ryan fall off a cliff. Like, he wasn't great last year in Atlanta, obviously, but he was serviceable. He was okay. And if he had played like he did last year in Atlanta and he looked like that this year in Indy, this team would be a better team. But it was a disaster. I mean, he turnovers everywhere, can't hold on the ball, was on track to have the most fumbles in NFL history, throwing interceptions left and right, and just it was just one back-breaking turnover after another. And I'm sure Frank Reich wanted to pull out all his hair. So it's it blows my mind that literally every bad thing about him from Atlanta came to Indy with none of the good.
Well, I mean, and in his defense, and as Frank Wright pointed out, no, I mean, look, like Ellinger's more mobile. He's faster. Like if you have no offensive
You are more
line,
mobile.
right? I mean, Matt Ryan behind that offensive line is just not going to work. They thought it was going to work because they brought him in because they believed they were going to have a top offensive line and a top running game. And if you've got that, it's a lot easier to have Matt Ryan operating.
It doesn't make his arm work any better, but yeah, I don't disagree.
All right, that's it on Matt Ryan. He's been benched. What is his cap hit next year? Oh, he's getting cut. They can save $17 million. Oh,
Getting cut with a nice going away present.
yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a thing with his contract where, let's see. I'm not trying to Google live. On
He
the
has
show.
he has
know what his
$12 million of his 2023 salary is fully guaranteed.
Currently fully guaranteed.
Not for injury. It is just guaranteed.
Well, I mean,
He gets it no matter what.
They can't keep him on the roster with a $35 million cap hit if they are moving.
It doesn't matter. He's
direction.
gone. We're done.
Right.
We don't need to dilly-dally with this stuff.
So if the Colts cut him, he can just sit at home next year and collect $12 million.
I think there's a pretty good chance he retires if the Colts cut him. Right?
We'll all find out together.
Ooh, I could see him go to Carolina.
He's not going to Carolina, please. For the love of God, in the podcast, he's not going to Carolina.
When did the Patriots trade Mac Jones to the Colts?
3 hair plugs from now.
What is happening here?
All right, that'll do us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Wilson, for Breech, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.